And also, we will talk NBA playoffs. Yes, we will get into the playoffs because last night, the Denver Nuggets made history in more way than one. Bryan Toporek, he is the co-host of the NBA podcast, and he is also going to join us to talk about the Sixers in less than 20 minutes here on 97.3 ESPN. So there is that. All right, so let's get to this news, right? Let's get to the news concerning what was reported earlier today. Multiple sources are reporting. I mean, at least the first I saw was John Clark from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Um, it looks like, at least at this time, that you have Frank Vogel already in town interviewing for the job. Now, I made the comment the other day, jokingly saying that, if Frank Vogel wanted to come back to Wildwood for Memorial Day weekend, you could just stop in Philadelphia, do an interview, and be good to go. Well, and apparently that's the truth. That's exactly what it looks like is happening here. Vogel apparently met with the Sixers today, and he interviewed for the job. And I do find it interesting that Vogel, at least reportedly, is the second guy to be interviewed. And I say I find it interesting because there's a part of me that looks at a guy like Frank Vogel, and I know he's not the biggest name of the group. I mean, if you were ranking the candidates in terms of name power, right? In terms of name recognition, then Vogel's not one or two. He might not even be three, honestly. I would say the biggest name of the coaches is probably Mike D'Antoni, just in terms of name recognition. Number two is probably Monty Williams, just because his team was in the finals recently, and he's a former Sixers guy, coach on the staff. And he also played for the team, had a cup of coffee here in Philadelphia. And then third probably is Nick Nurse, because people know him from Toronto, and he's been around for a little while. And then fourth is, depending on who you ask, is probably either Vogel or Budenholzer in terms of name recognition and name juice out there. So I understand that Vogel is not the biggest name on the list of candidates, but he might be the most significant to interview. Here's why. Frank Vogel is the kind of guy who makes a lot of sense for a team like Philadelphia. I talked to you guys about this the other day here on Game Night, about how when you look at Frank Vogel is a guy who has been a successful coach in two of his three stops. And part of that success was cultivating the culture, was instilling a specific environment that would lead to success. You could argue that this team needs more of a culture upgrade than they even need a roster upgrade. This team went 7 games, 7, with the Boston Celtics, a team that most people assumed they couldn't beat. And realistically, if James Harden didn't play like trash for 2 of those games, if James Harden didn't play so bad, and Joel Embiid would have played better as well, you could argue that Sixers would be playing the Miami Heat right now. It's no guarantee you would have beaten the Heat. I still believe that styles make fights. And I told you guys at the beginning of the series, I had the Miami Heat winning because I thought the Miami Heat were a bad matchup for Boston, considering how they struggled to put away the Hawks and the Sixers. Well, now the Heat are on the verge tonight of finishing the series off. And hear the action right here on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. tonight. I think it's very fair to look at a guy like Frank Vogel and a guy like Monty Williams and say, you had success in unusual situations. Frank Vogel has been to more conference finals as a coach in the last 20 years than the Sixers organization. Just chew on that for a minute. Frank Vogel, this coach that I think most people have a passive or indifferent view of. If your whole goal is to get out of the second round, right? The whole point is all we do is lose in the second round, we get knocked out. If that is the end all be all for you as a fan, then doesn't Frank Vogel make sense? Frank Vogel has been to 3 conference finals in the last 20 years, and this organization has been to none. Maybe, just maybe, he knows something that the rest of us don't. Now, look, I'm not absolving the players of what they did, but I'm a big believer in the idea of asking the question, can the next coach of the 76ers elevate this team, elevate this culture, elevate this environment beyond what they are right now? If the answer is yes to any of these candidates, frankly, that's who you need to hire. That's at least how I look at it. I look at it as simply as you need the best person for the job. And I'm not going to sit here and worry about if the guy is the most attractive name. Because at the end of the day, I want nothing to do with Mike D'Antoni. If Mike D'Antoni is the head coach of this team, you're not winning a championship. Listen, Mike D'Antoni has also gotten the conference finals. But Mike D'Antoni has proven that it doesn't matter what variation of a roster you give him. He can't get past the conference finals. Frank Vogel won 7 games with LeBron with the Pacers against him. And then with LeBron, he won a championship. And whether you like LeBron or not, the reality is that counts for something. It counts for something. It has to. So far, we've had Vogel and Nick Nurse interview for this job. Personally, I'd take either one. I am not against either one of those guys being the next team's head coach. In large part because I look at both men and I see guys who took cultures and environments and upgraded them, made them better, and as a result, had success because of those upgrades. Now, if you want to say, well, Nick Nurse only won with Kawhi Leonard, well, you can't name me a head coach who won with bad players. You can't. Doesn't exist. And if you want to say, well, Vogel only won because he had LeBron, again, you can't name a head coach that won with bad players. Josh Hennig here on GameNight, 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Of course, you can DM the show, 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Or you can text in at 609-403-0973. A couple of messages coming in. Shaner from EHT chiming in before the show even started said, yo, Josh, what's up with the Phillies, dude? The back of the baseball card is usually right. Should I be worried they are not what they should be? I have faith, or should I? That's from Shaner in EHT. Shaner, a couple things. One, they have almost the same exact record as they did last year. So I'm not going to sweat too much what is happening in May. But what I will say is this. I'm not saying you should be worried, but I think you should be aware that this team did not do enough to upgrade the pitching staff. I think that they were under the impression that the guys that they had were going to be able to carry this team beyond a certain point. And I think as you saw last night, none of the pitching staff has really hit their stride this year. And I think that's what the bigger problem is. I don't think that Zach Wheeler is washed. I don't think that he's a bad pitcher. But Shane, you're certainly right. His numbers on the back of the baseball card, to use that term, or his stat line of the past is not matching up what he's doing this year. His career ERA is almost an entire run less than his ERA this season. And you could argue that his best year was 2 years ago. He's 33 years old. Does he need to make a tweak or an adjustment to be a better pitcher? It's certainly worth having the conversation. I don't think he's washed, though. I look at a guy like Wheeler and I say that he's been inconsistent. Just the previous game, he had 8 strikeouts. Last night, he had 3. He gave the same number of runs in both games. So what's the problem? What's the hang-up? What's the issue for Wheeler? He has 3 strikeouts, 3 earned runs. The game before, he's 8 strikeouts, 4 earned runs. The game before that, 7 strikeouts, 1 earned run. It sounds like a pitcher who's still trying to find himself a little bit, to me at least. I think Wheeler would turn around. You've already seen Schwarber begin to make the turn at the corner. I think this team will be fine, but to me at least, Shane or an EHT, it's obvious that they need pitching help. That's for sure. All right, coming up next, we'll talk with Bryan Toporek from the Forbes Sports NBA writer, the NBA podcast, Liberty Ballers contributor. And then on a little bit later in the Power Hour, we will check in with Dan and EHC, Jeff at Ocean City. All that and more so to come. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Tuesday night here on 97.3 ESPN FM. And don't forget the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
Wake up with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
What's your Mount Rushmore of food?
I'll go grapes. I'll go mango.
Ooh, good one.
I love mango.
Whoa, how'd I overlook mango?
I'll go banana. And then I'll go with the classic apple.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Listen weekday mornings at 6 on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
The 2024 X5 has arrived at BMW of Atlantic City. Take advantage of early bird pricing on one of the most highly anticipated vehicles of the year. Right now, lease a new 2024 BMW X5 xDrive 40i for $939 a month for 36 months. Looking to trade? We'll pay top dollar for your vehicle. Visit BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think. Located in Egg Harbor Township and online at bmwatlanticcity.com. For more details, call us toll-free at 609-316-2393.
With summer savings at the Home Depot, we'll get your kitchen clicking with top brand appliances like a new GE refrigerator with internal water dispenser for a crisp, cool glass of water every time, or a GE oven with built-in air fryer for healthier, crispier options with no preheating. Plus, with convenient shopping in-store and online at the Home Depot, your innovative new appliances are just a click away, too. Save up to 30% on select appliances plus $300 off select refrigerators at the Home Depot. Pricing valid May 18th through June 7th, 2023. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
East Coast Roofing and Siding, protecting what you love and own. East Coast Roofing and Siding, Trust us with your family and home.
Hi, I'm Larry Steitler.
And this is Jeff with East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows, New Jersey's most trusted home remodeling contractor for well over 40 years. Everybody knows that when you hire East Coast for your roofing, siding, window, or door project, you're getting the best products, the best installation, with the best lifetime warranties. But now for a limited time, when you hire East Coast, we are offering 12 months of no payments and no interest, along with a 15% instant rebate. All of this at last year's pricing. There's never been a better time to protect your family and home, so give us a call at 609-625-1900 or visit us at eastcoastroofing.com today to schedule your free consultation.
If you'll call,
we'll show up.
East Coast Roofing and Siding. Trust us with your family and home.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Well, it's a patented key ingredient called testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ROCK to 321321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 321321. That's ROCK to 321321.
O'Reilly.
Get your vehicle ready for spring during Clean Car Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Pro X1 exterior cleaning and detailing products provide professional results and show quality shine for your vehicle. Right now, pick up Pro X1 Snow Foam Car Wash 2 for just $15. See store for details. Pro X1 exclusively at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
One of the most influential names in comedy today, Andrew Schultz, will be live at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, Saturday, July 29th. Known for his unapologetic and unsafe comedy, Andrew Schultz has become the most viewed comedian in the world. Don't miss Andrew Schultz live at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City, Saturday, July 29th. Tickets on sale Thursday, May 25th at 10 a.m. at theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
A lot of new enrollments, huh? Braylon, Brayden.
Monique's daycare is crawling with new arrivals.
Hey, sweetie, are you hungry?
She needs more early childhood educators.
Did your sock slip off again?
And a nap.
Hey there, little guy. Okay. Shh. Whoa.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
0 down, 0% financing, and $7,000 off MSRP on every clearly marked Matt Blatt Nissan in stock.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trade Man can get you relief. Rogue for 36 months, even 0% for 60 months, plus $7,000 off MSRP on every Nissan Titan in stock. And don't forget, AJ, the Trade Man, will get you more for your trade, so you can drive a brand new Nissan. And of course, the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind. 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle, plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 6/3/2023. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Tonight on 97.3 ESPN, the Miami Heat look to finish off the Boston Celtics. Coverage begins at 8 o'clock tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Frank Vogel is interviewing for the Sixers job today. Nick Nurse interviewed yesterday, according to reports. Plus, LeBron's not really retiring, right? I mean, that's just LeBron creating new headlines and new momentum for something he's doing this offseason. He's a businessman, by the way. People forget LeBron thinks he's like 2 steps ahead of people usually. I mean, if you read the, LeBron Inc. book by Bryan, you would know that LeBron is usually like 2, 3 steps ahead of everybody. Talk to another Bryan, different spelling of Bryan. Bryan Toporek joins us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I know every show is leading off with this, so I'll ask you, Bryan Toporek. LeBron's not retiring, right? This is all just some charade. I think we have a small problem with Bryan's audio there. Let me try to see if it's something on my end because I put Bryan up. He wasn't there, and he just left the stream. Okay, well, we will try to reconnect with Bryan in a minute. I saw him talking, and then there was no audio coming through, and I know that there's audio on the channel, so let's see if that worked. Bryan, you got me now?
All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. It's
There
like a
we
Verizon
go.
commercial.
There we go. All right. Well, I was saying I am no Brian Windhorst, so I am not as plugged into LeBron's camp as he is, unfortunately. But no, I do not think he is actually retiring. I think, it was a really trying season for him. He's 38 years old, get off to a horrible start. You have to deal with the Russell Westbrook drama for a couple months, has the foot injury he's playing through, played all 48 minutes. To lead the team as far as they went, considering how they started, a complete 180 from the beginning of the season. So, I think it was LeBron's way of putting everyone on notice that, hey, this could be upcoming my last season or my last 2 seasons. So all the Skip Baylesses of the world, let's turn down the hate. Let's appreciate one of the all-time greats.
Speaking of LeBron, we saw Kyrie was at the game last night. Is it a fait accompli that he's going to the Lakers, or do you think there's a possibility he doesn't go to the Lakers?
I don't think he goes to the Lakers. I know it's been a big talking point. I'm writing about it now. It's just really financially complicated to make it work. And with all the talk, they really want to retain Austin Reeves. There is a pathway for them to keep Reeves, sign Kyrie. But after that, you're giving away pretty much everything else. I don't think you can re-sign Rui Hachimura as well, who played a big role for them in the playoffs. You got to let go of D'Angelo Russell, which no big deal if you're getting Kyrie Irving in, Lonnie Walker, Malik Beasley, Mo Bamba. Some of those guys didn't play a huge role either. But I think you're just falling into the same trap that they did with the Russell Westbrook trade, where clearly this model of LeBron, AD, and a bunch of very good two-way role players works. We've seen it work in 2020 when they won the championship, and we saw it work this season when they make these trades at the deadline, and all of a sudden they're a real basketball team again. They go all the way to the Western Conference Finals. So I understand the allure of the top-end talent. No team is going to have a better big three than LeBron, AD, and Kyrie. But one, how many games do all three of them play together?
That's a huge question.
Kyrie's missed at least 15 games in each of the past 6 seasons, not all of which were because of injuries, but that's another that chaos factor you have to factor in there as well. That's
for the 30 for 30 documentary.
Yeah, is this the guy that you want to go all in on when LeBron and AD have also missed a ton of games in recent years? So if they do it, there is a pathway for them to do it. I think it's complicated. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze. I think it makes a lot more sense. Re-sign Rui, re-sign Reeves, see if you can sign and trade D'Angelo Russell somewhere else. I think there are better options out there for them.
Yeah, because it's weird because I know Kendrick Perkins last week brought up the idea that Kyrie should come to the Sixers. And I know on the surface, it's well, hear me out for a second. I know on the surface, it's oh no, we don't need more drama. But one thing about Kyrie, I can say, he shows up in the playoffs. Yep. So it's if all you care about is the playoffs, do you literally just tell Kyrie, just put up with us for 82 games, get us to the playoffs? And because at the end of the day, we are sitting here today talking about the Miami Heat potentially ousting the Celtics because James Harden didn't show up for 2 games. And I don't know if Kyrie has never not showed up for a playoff game. Like, he might not show up for half the season, but he'll show up for a playoff game.
Right, but do you get as far in the playoffs because you're the 6 seed instead of the 3 seed because he goes AWOL for half the season?
Well, I mean, look what happened this year. The Lakers and the Heat. I mean, yeah, they brought up the stat. Bobby Marks did on the Low Post podcast that the Miami Heat had the second most players injured this year, the missed time of any team in the league. So, like, does it really matter if you have 56 wins? If everybody's healthy by the time you get, when April 1st comes around, no fools, but like if everyone's healthy, ready to go for the postseason, who cares what happened from, I mean, the Lakers just proved it, right? The Lakers just blew up their roster at the trade deadline.
Yeah. I mean, I think financially as well for the Sixers, it would be really difficult to make the Kyrie question. It's, similar to Harden. Like those guys, if they get a max or anywhere close to a max, it's going to really limit their options. It's either they stay in their respective Dallas and Philly, or like, I don't know how many other teams, Houston for Harden maybe, but I don't know if any other teams are offering Kyrie a max. So if Kyrie's like, all right, I'll start at 25 million instead of 47, then yeah, he's going to have more options this summer. But if he wants a max or a near max contract, good luck. I mean, I don't think the Sixers could make it work financially.
I mean, the weird thing is we're talking about two guys who, in Harden and Kyrie, they don't think like the average person. They don't think like the average NBA player, for goodness sake. So it's like, do we really know what these guys like the report about Harden wanting basketball freedom? Like, what is that? Like, it sounds like a brand name. Basketball freedom. Let me tell you about my new shoe line or something. Like, that's not like what is that supposed to be?
Yeah, I mean, based on what Ramona Shelburne has kind of hinted at since the season ended and since Doc Rivers got fired, it sounded like things behind the scenes were not as hunky-dory as they appeared throughout the regular season. So, I don't know whether it's Harden wants more of the offense funneled through him, like back in his Houston days. Because you remember after game 1 of the Celtics series when Embiid doesn't play, and he said something like, I haven't been in a zone like that in a long time, and it was really fun. The question is, can he still do that for 82 games? And can he still do that over a 2-month stretch in the playoffs as he's turning 34 in a couple months? And, it was Ramona's well mentioned. Doc tried to hold him accountable and, tell him like, hey, you got to set a good example for your teammates, especially like if you're going out when we're on the road, you got to show up in games. And Harden apparently did not take kindly to that. So, that's just another thing as he's moving into his mid to late 30s. I'm in my mid 30s now, and I'm not bouncing back as quickly as I did when I was in my mid 20s. So I think the age curve is something you got to be wary of as well with him.
Talk with Bryan Toporek. Of course, you check out his work with Forbes Sports and Liberty Ballers covering the NBA and the Sixers, and also the NBA podcast. Bryan, speaking of tonight's Celtics Heat series, I keep telling people styles make fights. This was a bad matchup for the Celtics purely because they had trouble putting away the Hawks. They had trouble putting away the Sixers. And now you're going against a Heat team that's just grinding their soul into oblivion. And at some point, it's like, it's almost like a scene from like, it's like Thanos, like, dusting everybody. And it's like, that's what I feel like the Miami Heat are doing. They're slowly just dusting the Celtics at this point. It's like, and I don't fully blame Missoula for it. I feel like this is just a horrible matchup. And I know the average fan out there is saying Missoula's an idiot. He stinks. Spoelstra's out coaching him. I agree with Spoelstra's out coaching him, but Spoelstra's arguably the best coach in the NBA.
Right. I mean, that's, arguably going into the series, that was the potential biggest mismatch. And that was the path for the Heat to win was, do the Heat win these things on the margins? Like the one thing, now Boston is more talented than Miami at this point, especially without
100%.
Hero, without Oladipo. And like, Malcolm Brogdon caught some heat yesterday for saying like, I still think we're the better team, even though they're down 3-0. He's not wrong. Like talent wise, they are the better team, but Miami is so well coached, so disciplined. And I think, the Celtics players have said, like, we fell back on our defense last year. Like, our offense was the problem. We would go cold at times, but at least we had this defensive identity. you know what you're getting when you're playing the Heat. Like, they have a very clear identity established by Jimmy and Spo and Bam, and it trickles down through the rest of the roster. Boston, it's like, we can hit a lot of 3-pointers, and where we're shooting well, we can bury you. We saw it in games 2 and 7 against the Sixers. Like, they get hot and it is an avalanche, but Miami is really resilient. We saw in games 1 and 2, if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, they're just going to out execute you in the end. And I think that's what it's coming down to. It's, Miami is just so disciplined, and that's what the Celtics have been lacking really all season.
How much is the NBA grinding their teeth right now about the fact that both of these series are probably going to wrap up, and we're going to have like 9 days until the NBA finals with no basketball at all?
There is the WNBA. I want to give out that WNBA season just started.
You are correct. The viewership is up 200% for the WNBA on opening weekend. I am in a fantasy WNBA league, so
okay.
I do acknowledge there is basketball. There's just no not the playoff basketball we're used to, which is usually on Memorial Day weekend. That's a good point by you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they can't move up the start day of the finals. June 1st is the first game, no matter what. So, I think maybe LeBron just did the NBA a favor by giving us all something to talk about for the next week. Because, I know a lot of Nuggets fans right now and Heat fans tomorrow are probably going to say the same thing if they win tonight and sweep the Celtics. Like, all the Nuggets fans are mad that today the focus is on the Lakers and what's next for them. And is LeBron retiring? Is Kyrie going there? Whatever. We have 9 days to talk about the Nuggets. Like, we're not going to want to talk about the Lakers next week. They're going to, as they are fresh in your mind, you want to kind of do the autopsy before moving on.
Let us get this out of our system. Come on.
Right, exactly. And we're going to do the exact same thing for the Celtics if and when they lose. Should they give Jaylen Brown this Supermax extension? Should, Joe Mazzulla get fired? What other changes do they need to make? This is just the natural instinct. So, I think it's going to be a very busy offseason. We have, the NBA draft is in a month with one of the best prospects in the past 20 years coming in the league. We've got a lot of speculation about trades for the draft. Portland at 3, Houston at 4, even Detroit at 5, Dallas at 10. And there's this new collective bargaining agreement coming into effect on July 1st. And I mean, all of these NBA insiders are starting to hint at it. And I think they're probably right. There's going to be a lot of player movement this summer.
There has to be, just for financial purposes. That second ceiling is looking really ugly right now. For those who don't know, the new CBA, when it kicks in, teams are basically going to have like a small amount of time to get to one tier and then another year to get to another tier in terms of cap management. A lot of the wackiness that used to be done in the past is it's going bye-bye.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be, I'll write about it as we get closer to free agency, but this is a big thing for the Sixers with regard to Harden. If they re-sign him, if they give him a max contract, they're going to go over the limit that you mentioned, which is really going to limit their flexibility to add to their roster. And then, Tyrese Maxey's up for an extension this offseason. When that kicks in next summer, if Harden is still on the books, I think like the big picture, it's going to be difficult, if not impossible, to build around 3 max stars in the new CBA. Like we used to be able to have big threes. I don't know. There are going to be a couple circumstances where you might be able to, and I think those teams are going to have such a huge advantage over the rest of the field. Like Memphis stands out as one because they have Jaren Jackson Jr. on a contract that's way below what he would get as a free agent right now. We'll see what Desmond Bane gets this summer. OKC is another one where they just have so many draft picks coming in the future that they're going to continue to be able to build out their roster, even if they get expensive at one point. But yeah, I mean, I think, it goes back to what I was saying about the Lakers. Like, I don't know if LeBron, AD, Kyrie, that as good as that sounds on paper, like it's going to be really, really hard to fill out 4 through 15 for them. And I think we're going to see that with a bunch of contenders this offseason.
Here's a crazy question for you. I just thought of this while we were talking. You know who might be the real answer for the Celtics? It might not be firing the head coach. It might just be going out and getting Draymond Green. Maybe that's the real answer.
Yeah, he would be awesome there. I don't know how they make it work, but this is another thing where, teams can't sign and trade for guys if they're over a certain amount of money. And that's not even this new second April, it's the first one. So it's, with the Lakers, with Kyrie, if they try to sign and trade for him, they have to fit under this, it's probably around 169 million. Boston would be the same way with Draymond if he turns down his player option. So if they can make it work, 29 teams in the league, 30 teams in the league, including Golden State, could use a Draymond Green as limited as what he does offensively in terms of scoring points, like as a culture setter, as long as he's not punching a teammate in the face. Like defensively, he is incredible still. There's only one Draymond Green in the league, and I think every team, especially a team like the Celtics that is struggling with discipline and accountability right now, Draymond would certainly light a fire under them.
Back to the Sixers and Harden. I keep putting. I had to sigh because
that's the right reaction. Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things here. One is about Harden, and that is, are we discounting the fact that there might be already an agreement in place between Morey and Harden for a sign and trade? Like, are we discounting the fact that last year's summer meeting over wine on that balcony was about, hey, when if this season doesn't work out and you take less money, that I will help you get the max amount of money and I will send you wherever the heck you want to go, James, because you did me a favor. I'm going to do you a favor. Like, are we sure that's what's really not happening here?
The problem is if his Houston interest is as legitimate as has been rumored for 5 months now, Houston has the money to sign him outright. And I think there are a couple problems. One, I'm guessing Houston is not signing a 34-year-old James Harden to build around him and a bunch of early 20s guys. I think if they're signing him, they are trying to do what the Lakers did a couple of years ago with, sign LeBron, trade for a second star. They're going to need those bigger contracts to make that trade. So I think they sign him and then, trade Kevin Porter Jr., trade, Jalen Green, trade whoever to get in that second guy. The second, I think that, you got to consider the personal dynamics between Houston Governor Tillman Fertitta and Sixers President Daryl Morey, who, abruptly resigned a couple years ago and 2 weeks later got hired. He said he was leaving for personal reasons for the Rockets, and then 2 weeks later takes over with the Sixers. There were reports when the Rockets traded Harden to the Nets in January of 2021 that Fertitta was just like, absolutely not. We are not trading him to the Sixers. We just, even if the offers were even, they wanted to trade him to the Nets. They didn't want to do Morey a favor. I wouldn't be surprised if there is still a little bit of bad blood on Fertitta's side, and I don't think he's going to be looking to help Morey out of a jam. So I think the best case scenario is probably, getting a giant trade exception for Harden and that they could use over the next year to take in a big contract. But, it wouldn't shock me. We saw this with Boston a couple of years ago with Gordon Hayward, where they had to give up a couple of second-round picks to Charlotte to get them to agree instead of just signing him outright. Let's do a sign and trade, and you get this giant trade exception as well. But the Sixers don't have a ton of second-round picks to trade either.
No, they don't. They don't have a lot of picks. I got to ask you this because one of our listeners, Dan in EHT, asked, should the Sixers let Jeffrey Lurie hire the next Sixers head coach?
Yeah, I'm down. Whatever Jeffrey Lurie's doing is surely working better than any other team in the city right now. So I'm cool with him just taking over everything. I'm intrigued. This will be Morey's first hire in Philly. Under him in Houston, the Rockets had a ton of success. Having a coach aligned with his vision for the roster, I think will be really interesting regardless. I think the question is how the timing of all of this is just going to be really tricky because there are a bunch of other high profile vacancies right now, Milwaukee and Phoenix in particular. And then you have this Harden thing hanging over all of it where you've got to interview these coaches and basically be like, all right, give us your plan with Harden and give us your plan without Harden, because we are going to be two drastically different teams regardless, depending on what he does this summer.
Nick Nurse, he interviewed yesterday. Frank Vogel interviewed today. Do you have a different vibe or feel a week later about these head coaching candidates?
I do not. I mean, the reporting, Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports said today, they're still in the early stages. Milwaukee is down to a couple finalists. Nurse is one of them. So that is something the Sixers have to keep in mind. Like I think they want to be thorough and take their time and go through all of these candidates because, knock on wood, this is the last time you're going to make a coaching change for at least a couple of years. Like you really want to get this thing right, especially to maximize the rest of Joel Embiid's prime. But so do, Milwaukee wants to maximize Giannis's prime. The Suns are very much in win now mode with Booker and KD. So, they're all possibly vying for similar candidates. So, I don't know. No one stands out to me as like clearly the right choice or the wrong choice. I think, Daryl was talking about him last week in his press conference and said, having the pedigree of having won a championship recently certainly helps. So I think I look at Budenholzer, for instance, especially given this miracle run that the Heat are on. I wonder if the Bucks, maybe not regret letting go of him, but if that loss does not reflect as poorly on him as we thought, especially with Giannis got hurt in game 1, missed games 2 and 3, wasn't fully himself in games 4 and 5. And, as we saw, like same thing happened to Joel Embiid in the playoffs. And, you got to take that into consideration as well. So I think they have a ton of interesting candidates, good candidates to explore. I just don't know. I have no idea who would be the best or the worst.
He is Bryan Toporek. Check out all of his work with Forbes Sports, Liberty Ballers. Follow him on Twitter at @Toporek. And don't forget about the NBA podcast. Bryan, appreciate you jumping on. Obviously, this is a weird time of year for the NBA, considering that we're basically going to have no NBA games for 9 days because the Celtics are going to probably wilt tonight, like a plant that hasn't seen sun for 2 months.
That's right. Well, Eagles OTAs are right happening. We can focus on what really matters, and then we can. Well, I'm sure we'll get like 16 more. James Harden is seriously considering Houston reports between now and next Thursday. It'll be great.
I mean, if Harden doesn't go to Houston, like, is that going to be like the upset of the offseason at this point? Like how are all of these guys like Woj and everyone else who's reporting this? I mean, Pompey of the Inquirer's reporting it. Like everyone and their cousin is reporting this. Shams has a report about it. Like, what are these guys going to say if he doesn't go to Houston? Like, how does that conversation go? That's the real thing I want to know.
I mean, at this point, can we just like get the contract offer? Like, clearly we know, like let's add something new to the story. We know
right.
He's interested in Houston. Houston's interested in him. Okay, well, what's Houston willing to offer? Because that's the real question. Like, that's going to determine it, really. Like, I don't care anymore that he's interested. Tell me, are they offering him a 4-year max? Because if so, then we can have, a nuanced discussion of whether the Sixers can match it or not. But in the meantime, it's just like we are beating a dead horse here. And all I know is if he does end up going to Houston, the Sixers should have an absolute aneurysm. They should go march to the league office and handcuff themselves to the front door until Adam Silver strips like 5 first-round picks. Like if they lose more second-round picks for tampering with PJ Tucker and Daniel House last summer when the Tucker interest came out like a week before free agency began. There were no reports about Daniel House. It has been 5 months of this. Like the Rockets, the NBA has to come down. They should come down extremely hard. I don't think they will though.
It's almost like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette when it's like you see the two constantly flirting and then like it's like are you going to go on a date? Are you going to exchange numbers? Are you going to give her the rose? Come on, man, make up your mind. Like
with Harden and Houston, they're on the hometown dates already. We're in like fantasy suite territory. Like let's
what is that one show, Fantasy Island, where like the people meet up on like the island? They have like a week to figure it out or something. I don't know.
Oh, Love Island, I know is one of them. I don't know.
Is that what it is? I'm probably mixing it up. I mean, I don't really watch these.
Oh, that's what you can do for the next 9 days. You can catch up on all the finest reality programming.
No, I have a plenty of other shows to catch up on. I mean, I did fit once the Sixers season was done. I'm completely caught up on Cobra Kai. So I finally got that fully caught up. I'm actually working through you ever see the show Will Trent? It's on Hulu right now.
No.
It's kind of like if you merged Monk and Sherlock Holmes into one person.
Oh, okay.
And he happens to be from Georgia.
Interesting. All right, I'll have to check that out.
It's actually based on a series of books. I remember reading the books years ago, and I was always interested in the show. Here's a little side thing before I let you go. If you ever saw the movie 21 Bridges with Chadwick Boseman, that movie is actually loosely based on one of the Will Trent books.
Oh.
There was originally supposed to be a Will Trent movie, but the movie went sideways, so they kind of picked up part of the script and rolled it into the Chadwick Boseman movie. So just to give folks an idea of like the history behind this show, was supposed to be done a while ago, and now it's finally on Hulu. And they actually opened the show referencing the storyline that was supposed to be for the movie.
Oh, very meta. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to go check it out. Well, luckily, instead of listening to James Harden to Houston stuff for the next week, now I have something to do.
Yeah, it's why I like, for example, a show like Boston Legal. It's like all that random, like making fun of stuff, saying like, oh, you're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here in the first episode of the season or something like that.
Sure.
Bryan, appreciate you jumping on. Take care.
Anytime, Josh. Have a good one.
We'll get to your guys' text messages on the other side. We got Dan in EHC, more from him, and Jeff in Ocean City. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN.
The NBA playoffs continue on ESPN Radio.
Pump fake, kicks it out to Vincent. He'll try a three from the left side. Hit it!
Down 3-0. The defending Eastern Conference champion Celtics face a must-win Game 4. Will they survive? Or are the Heat heading to their 7th NBA Finals? Game 4 of the Heat and Celtics, presented by Indeed. Coverage begins tonight at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Listen to the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 4, exclusively on 97.3 ESPN.
What dealer has new Kias under $25,000 and only 2.9% financing?
Who is Matt Blatt Kia?
What dealer will pay off your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth?
Who is Matt Blatt Kia?
Correct. Have a job clearing $350 per week? Matt Blatt Kia in Egg Harbor Township or Toms River wants to approve you. New 2023 Kia Forte or Soul, 0 down and just 2.9% financing for 48 months. Plus, we're overloaded with trades. Low mileage, one owner trades, many with remaining factory warranty, and they must go to make room for new Kias arriving daily. Just because you don't see your new Kia on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. $27.78 per thousand financed. Go to mattblattkia.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 5/31/23. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details. Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait, text PLACE to 200-300.
Progressive protects more than just your home and car. You could save when you bundle your motorcycles, ATVs, boats, and RVs. Doesn't that sound good? Like the sound of your boat cruising along the Intercoastal. And there's the sound of the prop hitting a really big rock. And now the sound of waves. because the engine stopped. But you know what does sound good? You're covered with Progressive. So bundle all your vehicles and home in one place and save with the multi-policy discount. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers.
Are you ready for hot summer fun at Resorts Casino Hotel? Kick off 45 years of gaming this Memorial Day weekend on Friday with the annual beach ball drop at 5 p.m. Then afterwards, join the anniversary Toporek giveaway and the electrifying New York Bee Gees. The fun continues on Saturday with a free pull on the first slot machine where you could win $10,000. On Sunday, don't miss your chance to win the $100,000 sweepstakes. Resorts is celebrating 45 years all summer long. Go to resortsac.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Leroy 71's backed up. What's your 20? Over.
Olivia needs more drivers for her trucking company to go the extra mile.
3 more stops to make.
She wants to hitch a team to drive business forward.
Lots of double nickels on the 169. You know what I'm over? This driver shortage.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you love a good cigar almost as much as your family? Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you can find that perfect cigar at Smoker's Haven. With 5 New Jersey locations, Smoker's Haven has the finest selection of cigars in the area, like Ashton, My Father's, Romeo and Julieta, Monte Cristo, and more. All from the finest tobacco leaves and hand-rolled by the world's finest cigar makers. All locations are fully open. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. See all they have and their locations at smokershavennj.com.
If car designers can make cars look like anything, why are there so many boring cars? Why not a car that looks like an ancient sword? Or the future? The sky isn't even the limit at Nissan. Why be boring when you can make a katana blade slice through traffic? That's the Nissan Z. Or something from the future whizzing by. And that's the Aria. Nissan. Redesign for thrill. 2023 Aria has limited availability. See dealer for financing details.
At Ocean First Bank, our first thought is you. We put you first in all we do. Community banking for a century. We treat you like your family. Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
Yes, 5.05% APY. For a limited time, when you open a 13-month CD with at least $10,000 of new money to Ocean First, you can earn this great return. Don't delay. Visit oceanfirst.com for complete details and to open online.
Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Just a reminder, Mike Gill mentioned it on the Sports Bash today that I will be filling in for him for the next couple of days. So no game night the rest of this week. You'll catch me from 2 to 6 on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN. Mobile app powered by First Bank. It's the house. So for those of you who catch me, we say from 6 to 7, I hope you join me for the full afternoon drive, leading you in to Memorial Day weekend. And tune in to find out. We got a giveaway this week coming up on the Sports Bash that you may be interested in. Tune in tomorrow for more details on the giveaway we will have this week on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ES. All right, let's finish up game night like we always do. Hearing from you guys. Jeff in Ocean City chimes in. Josh, what's your feelings on this new Thursday night flex arrangement as a fan who likes to plan road trips? I don't feel this is fair to the fans. Jeff in Ocean City, I have to give a hat tip to Mike Gill on this one because I thought he brought up an excellent point on this. And I did the research to back him up on this. According to studies, only 3% of all NFL fans ever attend an NFL game. And The problem is that the NFL has become a product that is direct to consumer in terms of television. Because the television network, because Amazon Prime, because all these people like Fox and CBS and ESPN and NBC are paying billions, not millions, billions of dollars. Frankly, Jeff in Ocean City, the NFL doesn't care about you. They don't care about your road trip. They don't care about what's fair to you. They care about what's going to pay them the maximum amount of dollars. The league is not making the maximum amount of dollars off of you, making off these television networks. They're sending to the people who don't go to the game. My feeling is you should plan no road trip from weeks 13 to 7. Like, don't make any plan from weeks 13 to 7. Dan EHT says, with knockout, I am all in on Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is fascinating, Dan EHT. We'll talk about more about this tomorrow. I think Nick Nurse is one of those coaches that is very good at amplifying his play. Catch you tomorrow on the Sports Patch.
This weekend, ESPN Radio, a showdown in the National League.
This place is going bananas.
Cal Schwarber and the Philadelphia Phillies begin a 10-game road trip in Atlanta when they go head-to-head against the NLE's leading Braves. The Philadelphia Phillies at the Atlanta Braves. Coverage begins Saturday at 3:30 Eastern and Sunday at 6 Eastern.
Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN.